the southeast. And that particular pattern is one where the Gulf of Mexico is just, it's tapped and we got moisture coming out of it, and it's just going to go back into a stormy time period for the midsection of the country. And we kind of see that potentially lasting through much of the rest of the month of May. So I'm curious where
Farmweek.com journalist Dina Stroish connects rural routes for you. From the farm bill to crop insurance to GMO labeling, her expertise is apparent in the stories she reports. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I get to meet interesting people and share their stories, and I get paid to do it. I cover ag policy and really enjoy keeping the farming community updated on these important issues.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
Spring is here and things are buzzing. Farmers and pollinators are working together to help feed us. In fact, 1 out of every 3 bites of food we eat exists because of bees, butterflies, birds, bats, and other insects. Pollinators are important to our food system and the ecosystem overall. That's why farmers and those in the agricultural industry are working together to protect pollinators through education, research, and conservation efforts. Visit ilagformonarchs.org to join the buzz. That's ilagformonarchs.org.
You're listening to RFD Town and Country Partners, connecting you with the food you eat, the Illinois farmers who grow it, and the food-related events, destinations, and lifestyles that make our state great.
Welcome, everybody, to RFD Town and Country Partners. I'm Nick McClintock with you in studio this Friday. As we do most Fridays, we check in with the University of Illinois Extension, and joining me on the phone lines from Champaign, Ford, Iroquois, and Vermilion County, Extension Educator for Family Life, Chelsea Byers-Gerstenecker. Chelsea, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Nick?
I am doing well. And I cannot tell you, just a little bit of inside baseball. We tried to get you on last week, but you were, I believe, at a conference. And the reason why I wanted to do this on last Friday, May 3rd, is because of the topic, the importance of stress relief. And let me tell you why, because last Friday I got married. So I thought, whenever I was looking through all the blog posts on the U of I Extension website, and I see the importance of stress relief pop out, I thought, that would be a very, very good topic for me to listen to on the day of my wedding. But as those who have been married before will probably tell you, the stress doesn't end after then. So
new kinds of stress.
Exactly, all sorts of new types of stress gets in. So that's why we're very happy to have you on. Most importantly, me, because I think that the next roughly 8 minutes, you're just going to be able to talk me off ledges, and I appreciate that. But let's go ahead and jump into this blog post talking about stress relief. Tell us, a little bit about what the blog post is about.
Yeah, well, stress is one of those unavoidable parts of life, and, everybody has stress from, different things, sometimes financial, sometimes, parenting, or, as you mentioned, we all have those big life events, getting married, buying houses. There's certain things that really cause big spikes in stress in people's life. But, it's really important how we manage that stress is how we get through stress. A lot of times it's positive stress, and marriage is definitely one of those positive stressors. It's a happy moment, but it does cause stress. But you want to have healthy ways to manage it. There's also what we call sometimes tolerable stress, where, you're going to have something stressful in life, like loss of a family member or, stressful times in jobs, but it's tolerable when you have good support systems around you, a buffer in place. But then stress can become toxic if it is a prolonged stress and you don't have ways to manage that stress, or the stress goes along and it becomes like chronic. And so some things to think about when we think about stress is that, you want to have kind of ways to manage stress in healthy ways, because there are ways that we can manage stress in not so healthy ways. Could you think of some ways that aren't so healthy, Nick?
Oh, I can think of, first of all, dwelling on it.
Yep.
And also, there could be dangerous ways to do it, such as drugs and alcohol. Could also be a way to negatively try and deal with stress.
Right. So we want to think about, those healthy ways that we can focus on managing stress because, like I said, everybody has stress. And so when we think about healthy ways of managing stress, you think about, getting exercise in regularly, making sure you're getting a healthy amount of sleep, unplugging from those devices, not being tied to our electronics, and making sure we're getting, healthy diets, focus on those fruits and vegetables more so than, other things. Also, trying to, have some mindfulness in your life, not concentrating so much on things that really aren't going to matter as much in the future. And, I always use this, if my mom's listening or my family's listening, they'll probably laugh at this one. But, sometimes we stress out about silly things. But, one time she was making a big meal for everybody, and she got so upset over, rolls that were overdone. And, really, after the meal's done, does anybody really care that the rolls got overdone? So sometimes we worry about silly things that in, a couple hours, is it really going to matter? So we really need to, choose our battles and what we're, really putting our energy into. Is this going to matter in a couple hours, in a couple days, in a couple weeks? Of course, there are bigger things in life that people do stress about when it comes to things like health and finances. But hopefully you can reach out to your support system and you have people where you can get some, additional support and advice in those areas when, they really are bigger issues that weigh on us.
Absolutely. And, reading through this, it gets more and more interesting as you read through this blog post on, again, the University of Illinois Extension website, talking about ways to manage stress. And, I would assume, especially an older way of thinking about stress is, it's all in your head. But and you just need to calm down, relax. But obviously we know now that that's not necessarily, first of all, it's not the best thing to say to someone who's stressed out. And second, it's just not accurate. You talk in the post about cortisol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cortisol is a hormone, and, it's there for good. It's kind of an innate thing that kind of starts at fight or flight, or actually freeze. And so most people kind of know what they do naturally. So when they're confronted, people either do one of those things and, it's there for good. And so when you're stressed out, that cortisol revs up in your body. And so, if we were going to be chased by a dog, that cortisol gives us, more ability to run faster, let's say, and we would want that. But most of the time when we're stressed out, it isn't that we're being chased by a dog, and so we aren't really using up the cortisol in our body. And so when it runs through our body and we're not really utilizing it, it becomes unhealthy to our body. And actually, when it's in our body for long periods of time, like I said, it can become chronic, and it's not good for our body or our brains, actually. So that's why the cortisol is good for us, and, it's built for a reason to rev up and give us extra strength, extra speed, extra energy, when we need it. But sometimes when we're stressed out and it's kind of a prolonged stress, it's just kind of running through our bodies and we're not really getting it out of us. And that's when it becomes really kind of toxic to us because it becomes unhealthy.
Right. Well, we've talked over a couple of things here. I would assume that someone who is, dealing with a especially stressful event, if they wanted to find out more information, what would you say is the best way to go about finding more information, either online or other mediums?
If you are stressed and it's been prolonged, I definitely talk to a healthcare professional. It's always good to have a support network. You can find out a lot of information on our Family Files blog. But again, it's always good to seek out help. Again, everybody has stress in their life, and so don't be afraid to ask for help.
Absolutely. Chelsea Byers-Gerstenecker, I appreciate you coming on today, and I do want to point out another thing here. The past 2 weeks before we had you on, we had Kelly Alsop on from our McLean County Extension Office, and the past two topics we had talked about are blueberries and just general gardening. So to say that U of I Extension carries a wide variety of expert topics is a huge understatement. And I just wanted to, if people are curious about what U of I Extension does, what's the best way for them to find that information and to get a hold of you guys?
You know, there's lots of different ways to get a hold of us. Extension is in all the counties across Illinois. You can find us on the web. It's web.extension.illinois.edu, which would be the easiest way to find your local extension office. That would probably be the easiest way because we all have different phone numbers for the local counties. So, but yeah, and since you had those two topics, those would be great ways. Blueberries are very good for your health, and gardening would be a good stress relief.
Absolutely, I didn't even think about that, but you completed my segue for me. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, Chelsea, once again from let me get the counties right, from Champaign, Ford, Iroquois, and Vermilion counties, Extension Educator for Family Life. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you.
Chelsea Byers-Gerstenecker with U of I Extension. If anyone has any, just want to go through the U of I Extension blog. I know I've mentioned it several times here. But again, web.extension.illinois.edu, or just go on your search engine of choice, put in U of I Extension blog, and it's the first thing that pops up. Tons and tons of great information. All these things, like this stress article, has a link to a Cleveland Clinic article about 10 ways to reduce stress. So lots of very important information. I want to thank U of I Extension for coming on with us each Friday here on Town and Country Partners. I'm Nick McClintock. We'll be back with more after this.
Are you preparing for planting season? We don't mean to be a pest, but here's a few things you need to know before you grow. The Illinois Department of Agriculture now requires special local needs labels, including new restrictions for the use of herbicide dicamba on top of soybeans in Illinois for the 2019 growing season. Did you know these additional restrictions go beyond federally approved labels? Remember, the label is the law. To find out more about these Illinois-specific labels, visit ilfb.org/label-aware.
RFD Radio Network's Rita Frazier connects rural routes for you. Rita delivers passion and reliable information to listeners on the RFD Radio Network. Her radio career spans close to 3 decades. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I grew up on a small farm. My job today allows me to connect with people from all walks of life and experience opportunity every day. I get to talk about what I love, farming.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
Farm can impact your family and is related to food. I'm Mike Orso with RFD Town and Country Partners. This week from Washington, D.C. Since the Dust Bowl days of the Great Depression during the 1930s, the U.S. Department of Agriculture has partnered with Illinois and other U.S. farmers to help keep soil in place and improve the quality of water. Matt Lohr, a Virginia farmer, continues that legacy today as chief of the USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service. He says his agency invests $8 million a day on conservation efforts.
That money gets multiplied by the agreements and the partners that we have, and that's really what makes conservation work. We can't do it alone. Obviously, we need the private landowner, but all of our outside partner groups that believe in what we do, that contribute, that enter into agreements, that are all working together, rowing together, that's what it's all about.
With passage of a new multi-year federal farm bill late last year, Lohr has been spending his time as leader of NRCS helping write the rules that will keep its conservation programs in place with farmers.
This farm bill, it didn't create any new programs, but it didn't take any programs away. It's some restructuring, but I have to say financially, the money is there, just like it was in the 14 Farm Bill. It's been an exciting process to go through and create these rules and regulations to streamline the process, try to get more of Congress's intent with some special areas, but I think they'll be very, very surprised at how well we'll be able to continue our mission of helping people help the land.
Since the mid-1980s, Congress has tied participation in federal farm programs with compliance of conservation rules. No busting land or draining swamps without some sort of protection, which at times has been controversial among landowners on the extent of such rules.
We are a non-regulatory agency, but you have to be in compliance with wetlands and highly erodible lands to participate in USDA programs across the board. So we work closely with FSA to make those determinations. So it's not always easy, and we're in the process of working on creating a new interim rule for wetlands compliance. Hopefully, again, being consistent, being fair, giving the farmer an idea of really what's taking place. And so I think I know we're trying to make that process easier. It's not always a simple fix.
The conservation chief practices what he preaches. Lohr rarely turns the soil on his farm in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. He's also an avid user of cover crops that provide a protective blanket when not growing soybeans or corn. In Washington for RFD Town and Country Partners, I'm Mike Orso.
What's the excitement about buying a brand new car when you pay full price for it? County Farm Bureau members have a reason to be excited. A Farm Bureau membership gives you 2 car purchase discounts. When members buy a new Ford vehicle, they receive $500 off their purchase. And with a purchase of a qualifying Lincoln vehicle, they receive $750 off. Everyone loves a good deal, and the money saved is worth the price of our annual membership. This is just one of our 300,000 plus discounts that are always changing to fit our members' needs. Not a Farm Bureau member? Visit Illinois Farm Bureau online and join today.
Be it through headlines, microphones, or tweets, Mike Orso connects rural routes for you. Mike has been covering farm and food issues for more than 3 decades. Whether it's print, video, radio, or feeding your online appetite, Mike keeps you in the loop. Here's a bit about his rural roots.
I keep our communities, state, and country in mind with everything I do. My job allows me to work toward this mission with farmers and other rural Illinoisans.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
Jim Taylor back on the RFD Radio Network on this Friday. Time now for our weekly IHSA segment on Town and Country Partners. Oh, sure, we talk a lot of football and basketball, baseball, volleyball, wrestling on our IHSA segment, but the organization also promotes a lot of different activities. We've talked about Scholastic Bowl. We've talked about bass fishing. There's debate. And the IHSA also crowns a state champion in music. And one of the small schools out there in western Illinois, Rock Ridge, they've won 5 straight state championships in IHSA music. And that's the focus of our conversation today on Town and Country Partners.
We congratulate the Rock Ridge Music Program again as they win a state title in the IHSA Music Sweepstakes competition, as they had the final part of that, I believe, last week. And Curtis Fisher-Oschlager, congratulations again. Kind of recap the 2019 competition and Rock Ridge winning again.
Sure. Yeah. At the beginning of March, we hosted the solo and ensemble contest for the IHSA. That was held here at Rock Ridge this year, and our students competed very well. We came away from that as the first place band in the state, the second place choir in the state, and the second place orchestra in the state. Our orchestra actually came from guitar, ukulele, and piano points, since we don't actually have an orchestra. And then this past Friday, we went to Monmouth Roseville, and we competed with 8 different organizations, and 6 of those organizations came away with Superior 1 ratings, and 2 of them came away with 2s, which gave us enough points to come out when you combine the 2 totals together. We came out on top again for the 5th year.
Well, that is something. You've done it 5 years in a row now. So the factors in doing this, for that type of run is pretty impressive. So what are the key ingredients in play here, you think?
I think it's really the kids. They've really bought into wanting to be the best that they can, and they've really bought into that they need to really expand themselves and do as much as they can. Instead of saying, I'm just going to do one ensemble this year, they're all saying, I'm going to be in 3 events this year, which is the maximum. And they're branching out, and they're learning ukuleles, and they're learning guitars. And so the kids have really bought into it, and the program's growing because of it.
And that's the thing when you talk about both quality and quantity. I think the Rockridge High School enrollment is around 350. So of that 350 enrollment, how many are involved in music, whether it be choir or band at Rockridge High School?
Our number this year is 102.
So that's pretty impressive, 102 out of 350. So that says a lot, too, about the music program at Rockridge in terms of participation.
Correct. And we are at the lower end of the Class B classification. So we're fighting schools that are twice our size. So,
all right. I know when we talked to you last year, the one thing when we were discussing winning a state title in music, the IHSA has kind of changed how they recognize that. Now, you get a state trophy, right? But the other addition is kids get state medals now, is that right? And that was at the behest of, I think, the Rockridge High School principal that moved that kind of bylaw measure, I guess, forward?
Correct. Katie had proposed last year that we'd be able to get purchase medals for our students that if you get a state title. In the past, we've made our own medals, but we were not allowed to have the official IHSA medal. So now our kids get the official IHSA medal with the IHSA lanyard, and it just brings it in line with all the other activities that IHSA hosts.
Well, and then are you guys going to have, I know in past years you've kind of done an official ceremony at the school recognizing that. Are there preliminary plans in place to do something this spring?
We haven't talked about that. Last year, Ms. Hassan, as a representative of the IHSA State Board, presented the medals to each of the students at our music awards in the spring, and that was really cool because she goes down to Peoria and Bloomington and presents medals to all the sports winners, and so that was cool to have her doing that for us.
That's Rockridge High School Choral Director, Mr. Curtis Fisher O'Schlager. Again, Rockridge High School in Western Illinois. They have won 5 straight state titles in music, and their classification is Class B. It was Monmouth-Roseville finishing state runner-up and Princeton taking 3rd place. Other state champions in music around the state in Class 2A, Dunlap, the state champ. It was Ottawa finishing state runner-up in Class A. Chicago High School for the Arts, they finished first, and the state runner-up, Carbondale. Again, Rockridge was the Class B state champion. In Class C, Iroquois West out of Gilman. They were the state champ in music. And then in Class D, out of Northwest Illinois, Stockton claims the state title in IHSA music. And again, that includes solo and ensemble and organizational contests. So a lot of fun, highlighting some of the other IHSA activities. Again, we talk so often about the major sports of basketball and football, but the IHSA does a great job of promoting other activities like Scholastic Bowl, bass fishing, and our topic today, IHSA music. I'm Jim Taylor for the RFD Radio Network on Town and Country Partners.
Thank you for joining us for RFD Town and Country Partners. Get out and enjoy Illinois.